All right, my good people, brothers and sisters. All right, first and foremost, give all praise to Yahweh Shemi Asher Thumb. Weekly class, Wednesday class. Why did Christ weep? If you got the answer, put it in the chat. If you know why Christ weep, put it in the chat. Or why do you think Christ weep? Ain't no wrong answers. We trying to get some understanding. That's all. Put it inside the chat. Do I got audio? Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? Do we have audio? All right, we got some slides today too, man. We brought them slides back. Oh man, drop my phone. We got these slides back. Hold on, let me mic check, mic check. Yeah. We got audio. We got audio. Give it a little second, man, for free brothers and sisters get in this thing. Shalom to the family. I hope all is going well. I hope all is going. Shalom, Sister Celicia. I hope all is going well. Shalom. And like I said, we give people a few minutes. Maybe about 3-4 more minutes, and then we'll crank this thing up. Like I said, we got slides, we got visual. We ain't gonna have to jump around to the blue letter and share the screens and do all of that. But this is gonna be pretty interesting, man. You may see things if you're thinking a certain way, or if you are thinking the way that most people think, or the way that we see in Christianity, or we see displayed through a lot of movies. This is a very sensitive, thing with Christ weeping. This is him showing his humanness, that he is, he's made like us. And so he has these human emotions, but is it the emotion that we think? Because there's a bunch of ways to cry. Crying comes from happiness. Crying comes from sadness. Crying comes from anger. There are different ways for crying. Man, listen, I have a hard time watching people be great. Cause I bust out, man. I get teary eyed. I see people doing good, man. It's hard, man. It's hard for me to watch it. Even a kid spelling bee, and I see them win a spelling bee, man. I might start weeping. People winning dance competitions. Them little stories with the triumph at the end, with the underdog triumphing. Man, I can't handle that. What was that little penguin movie, man? Littlefoot. Man, I knew better not to watch that thing, man. I knew better not to watch it. And that's why I love the text so much, because it is a triumph, and where the underdog kind of triumphs in the end. But we gotta learn how to have the whole story. We gotta keep studying so we can have the whole story in our minds when we're going through the text and we're seeing certain things. Oh man, I got brother Dion was in this thing chilling. Shalom, Mark.
Shalom, Mark.
How you been, brother?
Hanging in there, man. No complaints here.
Hanging in there. Hanging in there. All praises. But yeah, sometimes, man, once we don't have the whole story, we kind of jump around on certain things, and we kind of take certain things until we can just see the whole visual. And that's what we gonna do today, man. We gonna walk through. We gonna walk a little through Christ's ministry, his ministry, and see to the build up point, because Lazarus, really, him being raised is really a build up. It built up to that point. And again, we just trying to figure out, why was he really, what made him really weep? Was it sadness? Was it happiness? Was it anger? What was it that made him weep? Um, so we'll go ahead and crank this thing up, y'all. Again, if you have if you have, you have some speculation on it or you feel a certain way on it, which one was it, man? Happiness, anger, fear? Was it fear? We'll cry over fear also. We could cry over fear, we can cry over happiness, we can cry over grieving, sadness. Which one do y'all think it made Yahushua weep? What made him weep? So we go ahead and start this thing, man. Brother Eleazar in the building. All right, they
Shalom,
won't.
family. Yahweh Shem Yahshua
Yahweh Shem Shakatah. They won't believe you. All right, we're gonna start with Ezekiel 3. Well, we're gonna start with Ezekiel 2. We'll read 1 through 6, and then we'll jump to 3 and read 3 through 6.
Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 3. And it reads, And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of a strange speech and of a hard language, whose words thou canst not understand. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee.
Khan, if I sent you to them, you going to a rebellious nation of people, and they're hard-hearted, all right? But if I sent you to those other folks, if I sent you to the people with a strange language, all right, with a strange speech, they would have listened. But I'm sending you to the house of Israel. These jokers are not going to believe you. They don't even believe me. Ezekiel chapter 2, we're going to read 1 through 6.
Hey, shalom, family. Can y'all hear me?
Shalom, we hear you loud and clear, brother.
Come
Shalom, Brother Mike.
Hey, shalom, brother. Thought I wasn't gonna be able to get on it.
You sound crispy.
That's what's up.
This is Ezekiel chapter. I'll get this when you get the next one, Mike. This is Ezekiel 2 and 1. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall know that there have been a prophet among them.
All right, but they should know that there's been a prophet among them. Go ahead, Shalaki.
And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words. Though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou doest dwell among scorpions, be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house.
So don't be afraid of these folks. They gonna come at you. They gonna look crazy at you. They gonna give you some problems, and they may kill you. They may try to kill you, or they will kill you. But they won't believe you, man. But go out there anyway. Matthew chapter 4 and verse 12. This is Yahushua. Just gave you a little premise on, going out to teach these folks in Israel just being rebellious and stiff-hearted and not wanting to listen. Matthew 4 and 12. This is the beginning of Yahushua's mission. He done came out of that water. He done came out of the wilderness, and now he's finna go preach the gospel. Matthew 4 and 12.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 4, verse 12. Now, when Jesus had heard that John was cast into prison, he departed into Galilee. And leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast in the borders of Zebulun, of Naphtali, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people which sat in darkness saw great light, and to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up. From that time, Jesus began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And
So
Jesus,
where we at? Verse 17? That was 17?
God,
Yeah, that's it. And from that time he preached, and to say, repent, for the kingdom is at hand. We see that great light unto the Galilee of the Gentiles. And we also see here, man, the region of the, sat in the region and the shadow of death. Light is sprung up, all right? Referring to this thing as a shadow of death, going to some of our favorite Psalms. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. You can maybe try to pull a definition out of what that shadow of death is from that. But that's a little off topic. That just jumped out a little bit. But we're seeing that Yahushua fulfilled this thing, what was written in Isaiah. It was written in Isaiah about that light going to the Galilee of the Gentiles. Again, seeing it on a map, you have Galilee, then under that you got Samaria, and then under that you got Judea. All right, and Nazareth kind of sits in between Galilee and Samaria, but he started his ministry up there. It was prophesied. Taking the good news back home, let's look at Luke. What is that? Luke 4? Luke 4 and 16. Luke 4 and 16, we're going to read all the way down to 36. Taking the good news back home.
This is St. Luke chapter 4 and verse 16. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his cousin was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. And he closed the book, and he gave it again to the minister, and sat down. And the eyes of all of them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him. And he began to say unto them, this day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears. All bare him witness, and wondered at the gracious words which proceeded out of his mouth. And they said, it is not Joseph's son? Is not this Joseph's son? And he said unto them, ye will surely say unto me this proverb, physician, heal thyself. Whatsoever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in thy country. And he said, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. But I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias.
Shalaki, before we hit that, just think about where we at right now. All right, he went in there. He prophesied that these things had been fulfilled, which he read in the book of Isaiah. The people are staring at him. The people are staring at him, and what did it say? Keep glaring. Hold on, let me find that glaring part.
The eyes of them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him.
Yeah, they were fastened on him. Now they fastened on him just because he just read it. He hadn't even said he fulfilled it yet. He just read it and closed the book and handed it back. And they just staring at him. They glazing on him. For a particular reason. But I just want us to hold on to that. And the eyes of them were in the synagogue were fastened on him. And he began to say, he probably made them uncomfortable. He began to say, man, that this day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears. And these folks like, man, wait a minute, man, ain't that Joseph boy, man? Ain't that Joseph's son, man? And he's already done some things in Galilee, in Capernaum. He said, man, do that stuff down here in your own country. All right, do what you did up there. Come do it down here in your own country where you were born, where you weren't born there, but where you was raised at. Why don't you do that? He already knows that that's what they finna say. They want to see. They don't believe when he said that. They don't believe that. They want to see miracles. They need to be convinced. You just Joseph's son, ain't you? Show me something. Show me something. You saying you the Messiah? You saying you the gonna fulfill this? Show me something. Go ahead, verse 25.
Verse 25. But I tell you of Shalakia. But I tell you of a truth. Many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout all the land. But unto none, Shalakia.
He said, so after he's saying this, as he's saying, y'all gonna want to see a sign. He said, the truth I tell you, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias. There was many widows here. And when the heaven was shut up, go ahead, Doc.
But 26, but unto none of them was Elias sent.
Elijah didn't get sent to none of those folks. He didn't get sent to none of those folks in Israel. Understand, he is just showing, seeing that these folks don't believe he's the Messiah. He's telling them there was many widows that were here in Israel, but Elijah wasn't sent to none of them. Go ahead.
Save Sarepta, a city of Sidon, unto a woman that was a widow.
She was sent, but he only went to a widow, a foreign widow, a Gentile, all right, from Sarepta, a city of Zidon. Why he didn't heal nobody? Why didn't he heal nobody? And why he didn't go to any of the widows and try to protect them that were in Israel? Go ahead.
And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Eliseus, the prophet, and none of them was cleansed, saving Naaman the Syrian, and all they in the synagogue, when they heard of these things, were filled with wrath, and rose up and thrust him out of the city, and led him unto the brow of the hill whereon their city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. But he, passing through the midst of them, went his way.
So, and again, I might have to reread that the Zephyr, the city of Zion, to a woman that was a widow, because I do recall her, coming back to the land and receiving like sevenfold. So I had to go back and look at that and to make sure that that's a Gentile. But until then, until I look back on it. But I do think, this is the point that he's making here. But I do recall her going to the courts, but I would have to look to see if it was the courts of Israel or her own city. But Naaman, now we definitely know that he was a Gentile. And again, it's saying the same thing. There was many lepers in Israel, but none of these folks, none of the people in Israel, did Elisha heal except, Naaman, the Syrian. All right, Naaman, the Syrian. We did a lesson on that verse, and then these folks are mad. They filled with wrath when they hear this. All right, and so whatever he just said, fill Israel with wrath to the point of these folks from Nazareth. They want to kill him. They want to throw him down the hill. All right, this is pretty much, going across the kind of the same stuff. But we just, pull a little more meat off. Matthew chapter 13, verse 53. Matthew 13, verse 53.
God. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 53. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these parables, he departed thence. And when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue. And so much that they were astonished and said, whence have this man this wisdom and these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? And his brethren James and James?
Go ahead,
Joseph and Simon.
Joseph. Go ahead.
Simon and Judas and his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then have this man all these things? And they were offended in him. But Jesus said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief.
He couldn't do mighty works. So, at one point we seen him say, hey, man, do all this stuff that you did out there in Galilee and Capernaum. But when he goes to Nazareth, in his homeland, he couldn't do many mighty works because there were unbelief. It was so much unbelief there. He couldn't do these mighty works. Mark chapter 6. We're going to read 1 through 6.
This is the book of St. Mark, chapter 6 and verse 1. And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying, from whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, and Joseph, and of Judah, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. But the Messiah said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin. Among his own kin and in his own house. And he could there do no mighty work, save that he laid his hand upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief, and he went round about the village teaching.
He marveled at their unbelief. He
Unbelievable.
marveled at it. It's just unbelievable. He couldn't heal but a few sick folks. And he lay hands on a few sick folk and heal them. Besides that, he couldn't do it because these jokers couldn't, but they didn't believe. They didn't believe, and he marveled. Hold on to that. He marveled because of their disbelief. It's just like, are y'all serious? Like, what I gotta do? All right, John chapter 5 in verse 43.
This is the book of John chapter 5, verse 43. I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, ye will receive. How can ye believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words?
How you gonna believe me? You don't believe Moses' writings.
Mm.
You don't know Moses, right? How you gonna believe? How you gonna believe in the Messiah to come if you don't even you don't even know or believe in Moses' writings? But if it was another joker that came in his own name, you'll believe that joker, man.
Hmm.
You'll believe him. You'll follow him. You'll do. I was telling Ock the other day, man, that the best thing to herd sheep is the dog. Saying a dog, sheep, something about them dogs, man, with them sheep would just obey. I might have told y'all this, man, but it was, it was this lamb. I was watching these sheep, and this lamb he was laying on his back. The dude couldn't get him up. He was laying on his back. He flipped him over on the right side, but he wouldn't stand up because he was on his back so long. He was acting like he was too weak. So he did all this stuff, gave him milk and fed him and all this stuff. And he's trying to get him back to the herd before, birds and stuff start picking at him. And, they, or coyotes or something comes. And he ended up, after about 6-7 hours, he went out there and he brought the dog out. And once that dog came out there, that joker hopped straight up. He hopped straight up and ran his butt on down up with the other herd, man. It's something. It's something about them dogs, man. These jokers would, they love following these dogs.
Like you
and these wolves. Go ahead, Doc.
They say we'll believe when Esau said.
Exactly. That's exactly it, man. We'll believe it when Esau said, man.
Hey, Shalakia.
Go ahead, Doc.
That parable, one come in his own name, you'll believe him. Does that sound like eerie familiar with this whole Christ is God thing? Like trying to say Christ was God in the flesh, like Christ came in his own name. You know what I mean? And so he said, but he came in his Father's name, but we make Christ come, well, not me, but a lot of Christians make Christ in his own name, and they follow that deity, which is not. I just thought that was kind of similar to what they do with Christ, because he's saying that Christ came in his own name. But
I see where you're going with that, and it definitely could be. I'd further investigate it, but that I could see where that's being pitched, where someone comes down and says they're the Father. I am the Father. I am Yahweh. And they'll rather eat that than you coming in the name of Yahweh. I can definitely see that actually happening there. But yeah, man, you just have to look into it a little more. But when them things pop out, man, a lot of times that's the spirit, man. When them little verses pop out like that, you have to write that stuff down. Be like, okay, let me hold on to that and come back to that thing. Just like I was just seeing the shadow of the valley of death. I don't really know. I don't know if I can't really link it at the moment, but it's just saying, I didn't really peep that before. And I just wrote the class. I just wrote it. 1 Thessalonians 2:15. And sometimes you may hear stuff better when somebody else reading. Sometimes you catch stuff, when somebody else is reading rather than when you're reading it, for whatever reason. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians 2:15. And this really just going into just, we not believing who the Most High sent. All right, we didn't believe Moses. We ain't believing Yahweh. And go ahead, Shalaki.
1 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15. Who both killed the Lord Jesus and their own prophets, and have persecuted us. And they please not God, and are contrary to all men, forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles that they might be saved, to fill up their sins always, for the wrath has come upon them to the uttermost.
So you see,
That's
we
it.
destroyed the prophets. Yeah. That's all we want. All right. We see that we destroyed the prophets, and then this is the dangers in this, man. Who both killed, what I'm saying, Yahweh Shai and their own prophets, and have persecuted even us, Paul, man. And they please not God. And then you see a separation. They even persecuted us, and they please not God, and are contrary to all men, forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles that they might be saved. And this, to fill up their sins always, to fill their sins up to the tippy top, till their sins overflow. For the wrath has come upon them, to the uttermost. And you got brothers forbidding people to speak to the Gentiles. How many videos you done seen? How many times you done seen me? This ain't for you. Keep it moving. What's your nationality? Oh man, this ain't for you. This ain't yours, man. And my sins just filling up. My sins just filling up. And we gotta be careful. That's a very dangerous little verse there.
Hey,
The parable.
Salakia.
Like,
Go ahead.
Who is the us? It says forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles.
The us
So,
for me is
like,
Paul writing this thing to Thessalonica. So the
okay.
us is the church of Thessalonica, who he's been teaching them.
But the them is the scribe, the Pharisees, and the elders who forbidden us to speak to the Gentiles.
It's pretty much those Pharisees is pulling up, just telling them that what I'm saying, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be going to these Gentiles trying to save them.
got a precept.
Go ahead.
This is the book of Malachi. Malachi 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. I think it is. So Malachi 3 and 5, and it says, and I will come near to you to judge, and I will be swift witness against the sorcerer, and against the adulterer, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wage, the widows and the fatherless, and that turn aside the strangers from their right, and fear not me, says the Lord Yahweh, a Lord of hosts. So, and so I know we place semantics with that stranger, but we got to also think about this was also talking about. Let me show you something. Let me show you. This was actually addressing Israel as a whole. So if he's addressing Israel as a whole, that stranger for me will be the nations, because they do have their right. You know what I mean? According to Jeremiah 14 and 12. 12 and 14. But yeah, I just wanted to pull that turn around and turn stranger from their rights, and that's what they was using that particular verse. Oh yeah.
Excellent precept. And it's just a build up. Well, we finna get into this thing being this thing building up to a certain point. I do want to show a quick vid here though, before we go into this next parable.
Echo.
Oh no, hey, man, just
Can y'all hear it? All right, watch the question that's being asked.
Do you hear the echo?
Nah, I don't hear no echo.
Oh no, hey, man, just a little quick question, man. I ain't trying to hold you up. I just want to know, man, your actual. I want to hear it from the direct source yourself about just your understanding on that Satyrian soldier.
I think the one that says great faith not in Israel.
Con.
Yeah, it's alluding to, from my understanding, that was a one that was trying to bless Israel to be blessed, because it says he built many things for our ethnos. When you look in the Greek, it says he built many things and made many contributions to our ethnos. So I believe he was trying to cleave. Either way, he didn't get no salvation, so it really don't make no sense. People act like the Most High can't bless a heathen. A blessing is not equivocal to salvation. He blessed Ishmael. He blessed Esau.
Right.
So I don't really think that's a big deal.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask Mike, 'cause, a lot of folks kind of was speaking on it. But me, I like the person to just ask the source itself, because you never know unless you deal with the person directly. So it's good to hear your breakdown on it.
No problem. Shalom, King.
All right, come.
All right, we got Eddie.
All right, y'all. That's all I wanted. So we gonna get into this thing. We see he agreeing. To me, it seems like Deacon is saying that this is a Gentile, the centurion, and that he's just, he who blesses Israel shall be blessed. He is also trying to cleave. He built many things. He actually, the text says he actually paid for the synagogue. But how can one definitively say that he didn't receive salvation if the text don't say that? How can one say, oh man, he just got that little blessing right there, man? That wasn't nothing, man. He didn't receive salvation. The man is in a book written by Israelites. Why are they writing these things about, like, you think Deacon would write that encounter? No, it's just a little thing. Why are we going to put that little thing in there? It's just a little small little blessing. But our forefathers thought differently. That's why they have it in the text. There's not much that I precept today that we've seen in this class thus far that's good for Israel. Like, why would we write this stuff in here? If we had that same emotion that a lot of us have today. And they do that also with the Phoenician woman. How you know? How you know she didn't? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of crazy to say. Like, but she didn't receive salvation though. Like, how you know that for sure? Like, how do you know that?
Shalaki, that's what he wanted to happen. That was his judgment. He ain't getting salvation.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me. But let's read this thing, man. All right, parable of the vineyard owner. Well, that ain't even it yet. That ain't even. Are we there yet? The centurion, the faithful centurion. Okay, that's. Why in the world do I got Matthew 5? It's supposed to be Matthew 15. I think it's supposed to be Matthew 15. I copied that wrong. Okay, we'll go to the parable of the vineyard. The parable of the vineyard owner. And then we're going to get the centurion. The centurion, man, is just something that's said within that. Did I have somebody come in? Brother Dion. No, okay, that's everybody. Mark chapter 12. We're going to read 1 through 12.
Okay. It's the book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 1. And he began to speak unto them by parables. A certain man planted a vineyard and set an hedge about it, and digged a place for the wine fat, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. And at the season he sent to the husbandman a servant, that he might receive from the husbandman of the fruit of the vineyard. And they caught him and beat him and sent him away empty. And again he sent unto them another servant, and at him they cast stones and wounded him in the head, and sent him away shamefully handled.
Shalakia, let me just speak on this thing. Now you got someone who owns the vineyard, who leased it to someone, and then the owner of the vineyard sends his servant there to collect, the few grapes, to collect his due of the portion of the crops, for leasing this thing out. All right, and then they attack this one, they stone the next one. He sends another one out there, they stone that one. Go ahead.
And again, verse 5. And again he sent another, and him they killed, and many others, beating some and killing some. Having yet therefore one son, his well beloved, he sent him also last unto them, saying, they will receive my son.
Hold
Reverence
on
my
now. Hold on now. He sent the he sent some servants first, right? And then they were killing them. All right, they were killing them. We just read the First Thessalonians 2. I mean, was it 1? First Thessalonians 2, verse 15, something like that. We just read that they killed the prophets. All right, they killed the prophets. But now the owner is sending his son. Surely they'll respect and reverence my son. Okay? Surely they'll do that. Go ahead.
Verse 7. But those husbandmen said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance shall be ours. And they took him and killed him and cast him out of the vineyard. What shall therefore the Lord of the vineyard do? He will
now,
come.
Shalakia. Now, they said to themselves, let's go and kill the son so we can have the vineyard. All right? And this is the same thing with Christ. You know, with Christ was problematic because he was taking the reverence. He was taking the respect. They was going to probably make him king and kick us out because he's so powerful and he has the influence over the people. And so the Pharisees are all like, man, we got to get rid of this joker for Rome get word, and don't need us no more. And we get thrown out and we don't have the vineyard and we don't have the rulership and we don't have the prestige. And so he's giving a parable here that's pretty much a similitude of his life. All right, so now he's saying, they killed the son. What do you think the owner gonna do? What is the owner gonna do at this point? Go ahead.
Verse 9. You say, what shall therefore the Lord of the vineyard do? He will come and destroy the husbandman.
He gonna come and destroy them jokers. Go ahead, Shalaki.
And will give the vineyard unto others.
And he gonna give the vineyard to other people. He gonna come in, he gonna destroy them jokers, and he gonna get a vineyard to others. Go ahead.
And have ye not read this scripture? The stone which the builders rejected has become the head of the corner. This was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes.
All right, it's marvelous in our eyes. All right, that rejected cornerstone. It was already written that these folks will reject them. Go ahead.
Verse 12, and they sought to lay hands on him, but feared the people, for they knew that he had spoken a parable against them, and they left him and went their way.
All right, so these folks knew. All right, these Pharisees knew, hey, man, you know what? He talking about us. These leaders knew that, he talking about us. But, he has these believers, because we at this point now, you got these believers that's following them. These folks gonna probably go crazy on us right now, if we kill them at this point. He will give the vineyard to others. Let's look at Matthew 15, verse 5, I think it is. Not 5. 15. I'll be doing that copy and paste so fast that I don't even be going back and looking at it, but I think it's 15, and we read 5 through. We'll have to find it.
5 through 13?
Nope, that ain't it. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Where my other paper at? Canaanite woman's faith. 1 second, Israel. Matthew 8, 5 through 13. Matthew 8, 5 through 13.
You all know, ain't you? Here we go. St. Matthew chapter 8 and verse 5. And when the Messiah was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And the Messiah said unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this man, go, and he goeth, and to another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, doeth this, and he doeth it. When the Messiah heard it, he marveled and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel.
Listen, he turned around. And he said to the people following him, who were probably majority Israelites, and saying to them, I ain't seen this kind of faith in Israel.
I'm jealous.
And it's he said pretty much the same thing the Phoenician woman said, calling herself a dog. Because he said, I'm not worthy for you to come in my house. I'm not worthy. All right, you hold too much regard. I understand how the hierarchy works. I understand my place. Now Christ was in and out Joker's houses. He was in and out of people's houses. And everyone welcomed him. But some jokers let him in the house. They ain't even wash his feet. They ain't even greet him with no holy kiss. But this man says, "Nah, listen, I'm not even deserving of you to come in my house." And it's a humbling, and this is what's showing his belief. All right, this is also showing that he believes, he has faith, he knows who this is. All right, go ahead, Shalakia.
Verse 11, it says, And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Now here we seeing that right after he's saying, I didn't see this kind of faith in Israel. They telling him that he goes into another parable. He's saying, like, man, it's gonna be many people that's gonna come from far and east to sit down at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But the people that the kingdom is for, they gonna be cast out into outer darkness. He's saying this right after telling Israel, y'all don't have this kind of faith. Is there any more on that?
Verse 13, And the Messiah said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self same hour.
Go ahead. And that's how we know that this is in the same context. All right, that statement that he just made was directly connected to centurion's faith in Israel not having no faith. Because it's in the middle of it. He gives them that. He turns around and gives him that. Oh, but I tell you, there's many gonna come from the east and west, man. But the people that is for, the children of the kingdom, they'll be cast out. And he told the centurion, he goes and tells the centurion, man, go ahead your way, man. Your child been healed, man. We seeing a build up. So much being done, so much unbelief being showed. But we started out with the Ezekiel 3, man. They ain't gonna believe. But those other people, Those other people will probably believe you. Lazarus raised up, man. This is what we did all of this to get to here. I just wanted to see some, you know. There's other things that can show the lack of faith. If you just had enough faith as a mustard seed. You know, how long I gotta be with y'all, if you know, before y'all believe. You know, Peter slipping in the water because of his lack of faith. This is the word for weep here, G1689. We'll get there. Let's just go ahead. We're gonna read the whole chapter of John, chapter 11. I think this is the last slide. Yeah, this is the last slide here. Let me read this last chapter and we'll make closing remarks. But this is all we getting here. Because this is gonna help us understand why he's weeping. John 11.
All right. It's the book of John, chapter 11. Now a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard therefore that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Then after that,
so now he's telling, you know, he done been told he's sick, and you know, they pretty much asking for him to come heal them, even though, you know, without asking. You know how somebody who don't want to ask you nothing, they don't know how to ask people for something. Oh, they too proud. They're too prideful to ask. You know how you just throw them hints out there. Well, you know, Lazarus sick, man, and you know, it ain't looking good. You know, I don't know what you're doing the next couple of days, but you know, he is sick. He is sick. But you know, Yahushua hears these words and he stayed there another 2 days in the same place. He don't move. And he already told him this is for the glorifying of God. All right, this sickness is not unto death. He just told you something. The sickness is not unto death. He's not gonna die. It's for the glorifying of God. Do you believe that or no? Like, the worrying should stop at that point. If you believe, you should stop worrying and say, oh, thank the goodness. Oh, thank you, Most High. Thank you. Thank you. How about you? If you believe. Go ahead, Akshalaki.
Verse 7. Then after that, he said to his disciples, let us go into Judea again. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. These things said he, and after that he said unto them, our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go, that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit, Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead.
Shalaki. So you're like, listen, man, Lazarus dead, man. You know, try to give it to you. In you know, with some metaphorical speech. You know, our brother sleepeth. Try to put some metaphor. Try to put, you know, some little flash on it, but y'all just didn't get it. Y'all don't get it, man. Lazarus dead, bro.
Yeah.
He dead, man. All right. And another point was, yeah, they said, man, listen, man, you gonna go back there? These folks done they gonna try to kill you, man. They already just tried to kill you. Going back there again? He said, man, our friend Lazarus, man, he sleep. He dead, brother. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And I am glad for your sake that I was not there.
Now watch this. Listen, man, this. I'm glad that I let him die. I'm glad that I let him die. Go ahead.
To the intent ye may believe
that I can raise this joker up and you have some faith. Because ain't nothing I done did thus far gave you any faith. Gave you any belief. So what we about to go do, maybe this will give you some belief. I'm glad for your sakes I let the joker die. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him.
And look at down Thomas. He going, we going for some other reason, man. We going to raise up Lazarus, and you kind of act like you ready to die. Even when I came back, you didn't, like you had to feel my hands.
God.
You ain't believe it was me. It always be the loudest that act the most zealous, just like Peter.
It's like y'all. You say you ain't got a lot of kicking.
Yeah, for real. You got to do all that, man.
God.
Go ahead.
Then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. But Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to confront them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha to Jesus, Lord, if thou have been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus said unto her, thy brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day.
Look at it. Look what she talking about, man.
Jesus. Come.
Oh yeah, I know he'll rise up during the resurrection. I just told you he wasn't dead. That the sleep of is not unto death. He gonna rise again. No, well, I know he gonna rise during the resurrection. Come on.
All right. 25. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he was dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this?
Do you believe this? Do you believe this, man? I am the resurrection. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? Do you believe this? Do you believe I am who I tell you that I am? Go ahead.
All right. She said unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. And then she had so said, she went her way and called Mary her sister secretly, saying, The master is come and called for thee. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. The Jews then which were with her in the house and comforted her, when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, She goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Then Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her. He groaned in the spirit and was troubled.
What that mean? He groaned in the spirit. They done ran out there with her thinking she going to weep at the grave. She done came to him and said, man, if you would have came, my brother would still be alive. But now he just gone forever. Now, there are some scholars, I don't hold this face value. There are some scholars that say that the Jews believed in that time that the soul hovered over the body for 3 days. And no one ever resurrected anyone or brought anyone back to life after 3 days. And so this was what would be one of those messianic miracles that no one could ever do, and that would, you just can't deny who this individual is who does this. And so, once he does this, it's gonna bring, it's gonna bring forth the end. But this is why he's saying that, all this other stuff I done did, you probably didn't believe, but I'm glad I let him die. I sat there for 2 more days to make sure it was on the 4th day, and I'm gonna resurrect him. And she has no hope that he can be. She's coming at him like, she's not asking him to bring him back to life. She's saying, man, if you would have got here sooner, this wouldn't have happened. And she's weeping on him, not understanding that he can bring him back to life. And he groans in the spirit. That's why I was talking about this word G1689. To charge with earnest admonition, sternly to charge, threaten to enjoin, groan, watch this right here, to short with anger, from the root word, straightly to charge, groan, murmur against, to blame, have indignation on, and there you go again, to short with anger. All right. So that groan in the spirit and he's being troubled, it's anger. It's anger. All right. Go ahead.
Verse 34. And said, where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, behold, how he loved him. And some of them said, could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died?
Now look at that again. Now you got a joker saying, hey man, this man did all these miracles. Couldn't he have saved Lazarus? Not understand that's what he dared to do. They don't even believe he dared to do that. They believe that he just want to see the grave and he just weeping because he loved Nazareth so much. Another sign of unbelief. And watch what happens to him. Watch how his stomach turned. Go ahead, verse 38?
38, come. Jesus therefore again groaning in himself, coming to the grave.
He groaning again to himself after he said that trifling mess. Well, couldn't he came and killed him? Of course he could have. He already said he wasn't gonna die. And you said that is like he groaned again, like, dang, they just don't believe. They got like, man. Go ahead.
It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus said, take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he have been dead 4 days.
He stink, man. What you doing? Why you doing all that? He stink. Why you want to go in there and see the body? Like, come on, man. What you doing? Go ahead.
Jesus said unto her, said I not unto thee, that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God?
Didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you the man ain't gonna sleep? I mean, the man, it wasn't a sickness unto death. He's still having a conversation about belief. I told you that if you believe is that thou would see the glory of God. You not prepared to see the glory of God? Go ahead.
41. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I know that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, and they may believe that thou hast sent me.
Listen, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I knew that thou hears me always. I know you always hear me. But because of the people which stand by, I said it. I said it out loud. Lord, thank you for hearing me. Just for these unbelieving fools. I had to say this out loud for them. So they may believe, so they may understand that I was sent by you. Go ahead.
43. And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave cloths, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus said unto them, Loose him and let him go. And men of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them named Cephius, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing.
Shalakia, my bad.
Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus shall die for that nation.
Then that's pretty much all we wanted. So I conclude that Yahushua died because he wept because he's about to go on the cross for some unbelieving people, man. And again, we talked earlier about the vineyard, but we see it here. After he raises Lazarus, the mind of the Pharisees, where they killed, just like in the parable of the vineyard. They killed the owner's son, in fear that, hey, he gonna take our position, or he had the heir to he was gonna be the king of that nation, or he was gonna replace them. And so if we take him out, then we'll still be in place and things will still be as they are. But that was a glorifying moment, the raising of Lazarus. And most of us didn't believe until it actually happened. And once it happened, we see a lot of us believed on him. And then some of these jokers went over to the Pharisees and snitched on them. But these things all had to play out the way that they did. So yeah, again, I conclude that it was out of anger of Israel's unbelief, of the disciples' unbelief, all the way to that point where he has to, pretend like he talking to the Father out loud, even though, he probably was, but just he only did it out loud for that miracle because jokers is still not believing. And so this thing is coming from anger of unbelief. And I yield with that, man. If anybody got any questions or anything to add, feel free, man.
Hey, Shalaki,
Go ahead.
and yeah, that's a great point, bro. and to understand what it actually take to get the kingdom. Christ was really laying out a blueprint of what it takes to get the kingdom, you know. And so I got a precept real quick. This is John 20, and I'm gonna start at verse 27. I'll start at verse I'll start at verse 24. John 20, verse 24. One of y'all brothers get that for me, please. John 20 and verse 24. Baba Kasha.
God. This book of John, chapter 20, verse 24. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, Except I shall see in his hands and the print of nails, and put my finger in the print of nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again, his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you. Then said he to Thomas, Reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, My Lord and my God. Jesus said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed. And many other signs truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written, that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and not believing ye might have life through his name. Say life.
See that, and that's that eternal life. And see, so he was giving them the recipe to the kingdom, and they didn't get it. They didn't see what it took. That's why he said, "Blessed be those that believe and don't see." You know, we see these miracles in the scriptures for us to believe, but we gotta really believe, and that's why we got so many people don't believe in the Bible, because of their unbelief. Of their unbelief. So now that's the recipe to the kingdom. You gotta have faith. Without it, you will be rejected. No, and so great lesson, brother, man. All praise to the Most High for that thing, man. How you?
And you know, when I was doing this, I was thinking, that's an excellent point you brought up. I talked a little bit about Thomas, about old doubting Thomas, but you know, that last verse was an excellent precept. You know, that blessed are they that have not seen, because these jokers seen and still didn't believe. But do you really believe? You know, I even had to ask myself, like, do I really believe? Like, how much do I believe? If he's getting on Martha and Mary, if he's getting on the disciples, do I believe more than them? Do I have the belief of the centurion? Like, and this is how I cut myself. If he says he's your protector, and you have multiple weapons, do you believe he your protector?
Say that again, out.
If Christ says he's your protector, he says, you know, you can walk through the valley of the shadow. He says he has angels around you in camp of the righteous, and you have multiple weapons. Do you really believe that?
I got to freeze out.
Go ahead. And I said, listen, I have multiple weapons. I have To this point, I have a lot of weapons.
Mm.
I have a lot of weapons. And I be in fear in some places I go. And sometimes that I go to those places in certain, you know, I have fear because, you know, you just, you know, it's a lack. It's a lack. So I feel like I got to get involved a little bit. That's how I was seeing it, you know. But I just want us to know that we got to really believe. I'm just using that example to show that we need to really, really believe. It need to be a incomprehensible belief, an incomprehensible faith. You know, what people say, man, you crazy. You know, sometimes your grandma had that kind of faith too. Sometimes they know the Lord gonna take it. Man, grandma crazy, man. That you know, that bill 2 times, you know, that bill been gone for it's overdue for 2 months. They gonna cut that phone off. Grandma tripping. And then the bill end up getting taken care of, or some finances come from somewhere. So it's a crazy faith. It's an insane faith. You know, just for someone to see their child get healed. Like that centurion, you know, wanted his servant healed. And you know, just to know that he can do it. Like, hey man, just say it. You know, just say it, man. You ain't gotta go to the doctor and all that. Just say it. I ain't even gotta be there. You ain't gotta be in my house. Man, just say it. Just let it be done. All I know you need to do is just do it. And it can be done. I don't need to go home and start checking his temperature to see if he did it. You know, to check his fevers, to put my hand on his forehead. You know, you said it's done, it's done. Go ahead, Shalak, y'all.
Yeah, this is the book. This is out of the precept package manual. This is the book of Luke 22:36. Then said he unto them, but now he that have a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that have no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. So there you go, brother. There you go, brother. But hey, well, all praises, man. That's what I'm saying, though, man. That faith is, man. The scripture says, without faith, it's impossible to please God, bro. And without that, bro, you know, that's the reason why we mess up so much, as especially as Israel, because our lack of faith. That's why our homes is out of order. So everything that's go on with us is start with faith. Because if we trust in God, then everybody will line up to the word. You will line up if you really believe in what God say. It won't be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You'll be living according to the word. But we don't believe. That's why Christians say, can nobody keep all those laws? Because you don't believe. And Israel say, yeah, we keep the commandments, and don't keep the commandments because you don't believe. That's why Christ said, he that said they know me and keep not my commandments is a liar. You know, that's having that faith, man, is the recipe to the kingdom, man. The reciprocity to the kingdom, bro. Without faith, you would not get the kingdom. You're not gonna get it, bro. So good lesson, brother, man. I'll praise to the Most High for that thing, brother.
Hey, Salaki.
So go ahead. I
just want to bring out that Hebrews 11:1-9. Just show some you know, some faith that our forefathers had, man. This Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the words were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gift, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that it pleased God. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go into a place which he should have received for inheritance, obeyed, and he went out not knowing whither he went. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange land, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. So they're just showing going into a little faith that our forefather had, like you said about grandma. That bill 2 months overdue. I got faith in it. And some always come along and pop up off the ground. I yell on it.
Nah, excellent point. Excellent point, Doc. Joker's out here shooting right now. You know what I'm saying? Joker's out here shooting right now. But excellent precept too. But with the sword of that precept packet, we definitely be breaking that thing out. And all that in that Hebrews 11 is incomprehensible faith. Jokers that had no idea where they were going. Jokers had no idea where they were going. Joker had to offer his son. Joker went up there to, went on the mount to offer his son. Listening. That's insane. You said your deity told you to go and kill your son and sacrifice your son to him?
Put that man in a straight jacket.
Put him in the straight, yeah, man. He going up there to do what? Yeah, imagine what his servants were saying. Man, Master is insane. If he did it to his son, he'll do it to
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Ain't say nothing to that joker. He come down that mountain. Oh man.
Man, the Israel want to give up a cold glass of water for the Most High, brother. let alone the sun.
Right, man. But all praises, man. I'm glad. And I pray this thing is edifying, man. And something we can evaluate, man. We can just, do some self-evaluation on our faith. That's right. And what I'm saying, just, become stronger in this thing. To the point of us having that incomprehensible faith, man. I did a little short little vid on that thing. But yeah, man, if it ain't nothing else, we gonna close on out, y'all.
Hey, it's like it, but at the end of the day, it's simple. It's real simple, man. Cause if I was a band man, I would put my money on what says the Lord, man. Period. I yield.
So yeah, man. Excellent point out. We gonna get up out of this thing, man. Shalom, Israel. We'll see y'all Friday on Bring It Out TV. Man, these weeks are flying, man. We already through January, Lord. But these are signs of the times, man. Y'all be blessed out there. Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.